Yeah,
Let me just bring up
perfect.
the chat box as well. So, welcome everybody to tonight's presentation on Manychat for small and mighty businesses. Small and mighty businesses are my absolute passion project when it comes to Manychat. Um, so tonight we are going to be talking about the power of the opt-in and how by using this one but very small but mighty box within Manychat automations, you can gather so much audience information on your users, which can really help you to analyze your audience, find out more about them, send that information over to your CRM for you to be able to segment your audiences and send them much more relevant messaging. And also as well, super important for small and mighty businesses, get a higher conversion rate as well. So what I've put there in the introduction, how to get a 90% conversion rate from Instagram content, 100% is true, is absolutely available to you guys, and without ads and without leaving the platform as well. So you may have noticed that I'm from the UK. It is dark here, and hence all the lights are on, and it's raining outside. I saw somebody actually, I'm down in Kent in the Garden of England, and I've just seen someone flash up in there that they are also from the same area of the world as me. So welcome, though, wherever you are from around the world. It's lovely to see so many of you people on here as well. And I'm sure that you guys are here because you already recognize that Manychat is an amazing tool for your business. Whether you're already building flows, whether you're just getting started, if you know, I think you'd have to live down a rabbit hole to have not noticed how Manychat is starting to be used much more, especially on Instagram. So indeed, the online space has many big names talking about Manychat. And you may see, I've seen many people talking about how Manychat has grown their email list by thousands from one post, or how it has scaled their revenue by 10x in 4 months. But if you're a small business, a solopreneur, a brand with a small team, someone who is really in the weeds of their business every day, where, you're doing all the things, the hands are on deck, and those big, enormous figures probably just seems so far away from where you are in your business. And you may well be thinking, well, is it actually worth me embracing ManyChat? Is it, am I going to get the same results as some of these big name brands? I mean, the answer to that really is how long is a piece of string? You can get some amazing results from ManyChat, but is it still worth embracing? 100% yes. And so today I am going to show you some of the tactics that I myself use and some of my clients use in order to get those high conversion rates. So why is ManyChat super powerful for small businesses? I truly believe that your size is your superpower. How many big businesses out there do you see who are constantly posting sales content on Instagram? They don't answer any of their DMs, and the content on their Instagram is probably pretty faceless. That is not you guys. Small businesses are likely to be very clear on who their customer is. You're probably posting really regularly. You are showing up and you are engaging. You are answering the comments on your posts and you're active in your DM conversations. And if you have got all of that already, ManyChat can amplify that. And that, I think, is where ManyChat is absolutely amazing for small and mighty businesses. So we're going to be looking at 3 different case studies today and how each of these businesses have utilized the power of the opt-in and how they are also using different tactics within their flows to personalize their automations, to pivot the conversation, to re-engage people within the DMs, and a few other tactics as well. So the eagle-eyed among you there will notice that that first one is me. I'm going to talk through some of the tactics that I use in my very simple automations. I'm also going to talk through what Catherine does. She is a retail coach here in the UK, and also what Emily does, and she is a baby sleep consultant in the UK, although actually I think she now lives in Spain. So who am I? You may be wondering if you've not met me before. I have been working with ManyChat since about 2019, when it was only available on Facebook. As soon as I found ManyChat, I went down an absolute rabbit hole with it. I thought it was amazing. The fact that you could comment on a post and you could have something in your CRM within seconds was just, to me, my mind was absolutely blown. So I am socially_sound on Instagram. I have a small following. I have about 1.2 thousand followers. I'm UK based, as I said. I'm a conversational marketer who I work with coaches, personal brands, and retailers to help them maximize their sales and leads from Instagram, all whilst freeing up the to-do list and saving time in the DMs, which for you guys as small and mighty business owners, you 100% need this. You do not want to be spending hours and hours and hours in the weeds of the DMs, probably answering repetitive questions as well. So I help brands to personalize their connection with followers through Manychat automations, helping them to boost reach and engagement, leading to higher conversion rates through a seamless customer journey. I've also spoken a lot about Manychat. I've shared the online stage with the likes of Emmy Porterfield and Michael Hyatt. I've also spoken on many podcasts as well. And you can see all of those on my website as well if you wanted to listen in. Just to say as well, don't worry about taking super amounts of notes tonight, because you can have these slides at the end. I've got a couple of things for you, that a couple of other resources that are available for you, as well as these slides. So don't worry about scribbling loads and loads of notes, because you can absolutely have all these slides as well, so you can refer back to them. So when I look at small businesses using Manychat, this is predominantly what I see. They are sending a link in the DMs exactly like that image there. So they are using the post and reel trigger, and that is bringing the user into the DMs, and then they are sending them a website link. Now, this is very functional. There's nothing essentially wrong with this at all. However, the benefits of chat marketing and what Manychat allows us to do means that people who are using this kind of automation are missing out on a whole shed load of other stuff that can really help them personalize their connection with their followers and get a higher conversion rate. There is no personalization in this as well. They're not taking the time to get to know who's coming into the DMs, asking for their name, for example. It doesn't start a conversation. They're bringing them into the DMs. They're sending them straight out again. Therefore, that is also not algorithm friendly. You want to be keeping people on Instagram platform as much as possible. Sending them off platform, you're sending them away from your content, away from your bio, away from your profile. They're gone and you cannot get them back. And also the way that this is set up, the people are not opted in properly. So if you then try to send them a follow-up flow, it wouldn't send because they are not opted in properly. And to clarify, when you are opted in properly, it entails the user clicking a button within the chat flow. So yes, there is a button there, but that's taking them straight out. So they need to click a button within the chat flow in order for the follow-up to be sent. So if I was going to change this little bit of functionality at all, I would have another message in between those two that would say, hey, looks like you're after the link to this guide or whatever it is that you're trying to get them to sign up for. Is that correct? They click yes, and then you would send them the link. However, that is how to opt someone in properly. But even still, there is so much functionality within Manychat by using the opt-in that can really get you better results than sending a link. And that's what I'm going to talk you through today. So you could be getting much higher conversion rates instead of just sending a link by using the opt-in box. It is only available on the Pro plan, absolutely 100% worth it. It is definitely something that you need to be using within your Manychat flows. You can gather name and email, which is what I predominantly use it for, but you can gather all sorts of other information as well via using custom fields. So yeah, you can collect name and email data within the DMs. I'm also going to be talking you through today how to utilize all those triggers, how to keep people on the platform, how to use personalization, how to retarget, and how to pivot, i.e. using your DMs to start the conversation with any potential leads and sales in your business. So first of all, we are going to look at me, and then we're going to look at Catherine, and then we are going to look at Emily. So for me, yes, I have a small following. I use Manychat predominantly for lead generation and webinar signups. This can be a little bit seasonal for me. I don't run webinars every single day. I don't even do them every month. I do quite frequently do lead generation through Manychat as well. That is, you'll see a lot more of lead generation in my content than you will necessarily webinar signups. I use DM opt-ins to gather name and email only. My flows are really quite simple and they take them from A to B quickly and succinctly. And by A to B, I mean from the Instagram DMs where I'm gathering their name and their email to B, which would be my CRM, where I can continue to nurture them and deliver the lead magnet or the webinar registration details, whatever it is they've signed up for. So from A to B, from Manychat to B, my CRM, which for me is ActiveCampaign. But obviously there are many CRMs out there, so yours is highly likely to be different. The key strength in my chat marketing strategy via Manychat is setting up all the triggers. And I highly recommend that you guys do this as well. I'm going to tell you why. It gives users the chance to opt in where they see your content. So for example, to explain this a little bit clearer, I quite often see brands attaching the post and reel trigger to their content, and then they share that post and reel to their stories. And then somebody sees their stories and they try to opt in from the stories, and the automation doesn't work because they have not attached the story trigger. So they are missing out on a whole load of potential sales and leads because they've only used that one trigger. So I, for myself, always set up the story, post and reel, and the direct DM trigger. For my clients as well, I also set up the Instagram live trigger because it gives them an opportunity to be a lot more sporadic in their content. If they suddenly want to go live and talk about their latest webinar, they know that all those keywords are set up. So firstly, set up all the triggers because it gives your users the chance to opt in where they are seeing your content. Number two, really important reason as well, I believe, it also helps with public versus private interactions. Now, we are seeing a lot more people wanting to engage privately with brands via the DMs. Now, if you are a small and mighty business that maybe your brand, your content may have some sort of sensitivities to it, and by that, I mean, maybe it's the parenting market, maybe it's finance, maybe it's health, wellness, and fitness. Depending on what your lead generation is, what your offer is, what you're trying to get leads for, not everybody is going to be comfortable commenting on your public facing content. So your public facing content is your posts and your reels and your lives. So when they reply to that, their comment, their keyword, your keyword that they're writing in the comments can be seen by everybody else who's commented on that post or that live. Some people, depending on the content of what you're trying to do, may not be comfortable with that. If you are very clear in your organic content that they can comment on your reel, they can reply to a story, or they can DM you, you are giving them the opportunity to interact with you where they feel most comfortable. And I would say that is especially true for any content that does have a little bit of sensitivities about it, where people may not feel comfortable commenting publicly. Having said that, even on my own content, and I talk about Manychat marketing a lot, to me, it's not sensitive content at all. Most of my opt-ins come via DM. And I think that people are just seeking more of a private interaction with brands. So do look at how you can set up more than one trigger for your automations, because then you really are giving your audience much more of a chance to interact where they see your content, which means you are going to get a higher conversion rate and more people opting in. So also, I would highly recommend that you have your bio, your keywords in your bio, at least one. Maybe your best offer, your proven offer. Make sure that keyword is in your bio so they know immediately how they can get hold of your best performing freebie or your latest webinar, for etc., etc. I would also recommend that you pin posts with the keywords that perform well. That pin posts are there on my profile, has been there for just shy of 2 years, about 20 months now. I keep thinking that I should change it. I look a bit different, but it still works really, really well. So therefore, it is still pinned. It's also worth noting as well that the actual content of that reel is still relevant. What has changed? I've changed the automation behind it quite a few times. I've updated the lead magnet. I haven't updated the keyword because that is in the organic reel, but you can update whatever's going on in the back end and leave that high performing post right there on your grid. And that content, that post there leading to that lead magnet is currently converting at about 85%. So of everybody who opts into that automation, 85% of them are taking the intended action, which is just to sign up for a lead magnet. The other thing that's also worked really well for me is being able to pivot the conversation. And by that, I mean they have opted in for one thing. They've either realized they've opted in too late because it's time sensitive, or actually they've decided they don't want it. So the example I've used down there in the bottom right-hand side is an alternative offer for some people who were opting into a webinar that I was holding, which was obviously time and date sensitive. And if you know how the Instagram algorithm can show our posts to people several months after something has happened, if you are running automations that do have a time sensitive factor to them, I would highly recommend right at the beginning of that flow, you use Manychat's a condition using a time and date checker. So anybody who comes into that flow after a certain time, you can pivot them somewhere else. And exactly as mine says there, it says you are too late for this offer, you are too late for this webinar. However, would you like to go onto the waiting list? Would you like to, I have this lead magnet that is similar, this may help you instead. The ability to pivot that conversation means that them as a user are still getting a reply from the brand. They're not going to an automation that's just been turned off and is dead in the water, and they're getting a bad experience because it's not going anywhere. They are actually still getting something from you, or the offer to get something from you. They may not want it, fair enough, but the fact that that automation is still replying and is still giving them something, an alternative offer, can be absolute gold. And then for you as a business, you're not getting people opting in for a webinar that's now no longer running, but you are still gathering them as a potential lead. So doing all these things as I do them in my Instagram marketing, can really help with your conversion rate. So let's move on to Catherine. Catherine is a retail coach here in the UK. She runs the Resilient Retail Club. She helps bricks and mortar stores, e-commerce brands in the online space as well, with their marketing, their sales, their stock management, everything you need. If you are an e-commerce brand, you need Catherine. She has a much bigger following than I do on Instagram. She's at 10.6 followers roughly, so a considerable following, and she is a solopreneur. So she is a solopreneur with a outsourced team of support. She is definitely what I would call a small and mighty business. She's a long-term user of Manychat, but she was only using it to send links. She wanted a more effective strategy that would give her a higher conversion rate. And again, she primarily uses Manychat for signups, webinars, workshops, and her Retail Raw Summit that she holds in the spring. A key strength in her strategy was retargeting and gathering unique user data within the DMs. So retargeting at the point of opt-in. So we're coming back now to the importance of that DM opt-in box, the message node that you can build into your flows when you're using Manychat Pro. So this has enabled her to get more leads and signups from those users who got distracted during the conversation, i.e. during the automation. Quite often you will see when you ask people for their name or their email, you can use this function just as it's down there, the one with the little red circle on it. If contact has not responded, you can send timely messages once you connect another Instagram node to that, to send them a message to encourage them to finish the opt-in. Now, you have 20, once the people are in your DMs, you have 24 hours in which to send them more automated messages. I use abandonment sequences, as I call them, retargeting, to send messages. I think mine are normally set at, and Catherine's are set at 3 minutes and then 30 minutes, because you want to try to get them back while you are still front of mind. You are still front of their mind whilst they are opting in. But people do get distracted. The dog starts barking, Amazon's at the front door, the child has fallen over. 101 reasons why people get distracted. I think Mike Yan said something in his summit that our attention spans are something like 8.2 seconds now, shorter than a goldfish. So the more that we can do to get them back, to encourage them back into completing our flows, is super, super important. So that, as part of the opt-in box, building out retargeting or abandonment sequences using if contact has not responded, highly recommend you explore that and use that. And just to show you some of the stats that Catherine is getting, she, for example, this abandonment sequence here, 15 were sent, 15 were opened, 13 of them responded. So we are not talking massive numbers here. She has a considerable following, but not everybody opts into everything that she wants. So, but for her, 15 lost leads would be quite considerable. But through those abandonment sequences, 13 of them have come back, given their email, and are now a lead into her business. So, you don't need to be thinking about massive numbers. Small, unique, small, mighty businesses can still get amazing results by just using some of these extra tactics within your Manychat automations. So her Manychat flows regularly run at a conversion rate of 90%. 90% of people who opt into her automations take the intended action, and that is all on platform. We are gathering everything within the DMs. And for Catherine as well, at various times, we have run automations where we are gathering unique user data. So she runs a summit in the spring called Retail Raw. I believe it runs out of a Facebook group, but there are literally hundreds of e-commerce brands coming online to hear and listen and to learn from some big names. So for her summit this year, she really wanted to get hold of more nuanced information about the people that were opting in. So we built out a slightly longer flow, but within that flow, we were using the DM opt-in box to ask for their business name, their length in business, their turnover, and their current biggest challenge in the business as well. This enabled, once they'd given that information, that was done via multiple choice, they were saved into custom fields. That information was being sent over to her CRM, which is also ActiveCampaign. And she, from the moment they hit that CRM, she could send them highly segmented and relevant emails to nurture and engage her audience further, because she has different products for certain types of business. She has different products and services available depending on the turnover of the people in her audience. So by gathering that information, that was super powerful for her. And again, if you look at the stats down there in the bottom right hand side, I've just taken these straight from her account. The numbers that were opting in, they're not huge. They're really not huge, but that open rate and that click-through rate are astronomically high. And I would argue you wouldn't get this from a landing page. You really wouldn't. So it just shows how powerful the DMs are using those DM opt-in boxes. People make it easy for the customer. They will give you the information that you want. So moving on to case study number 3, Emily. Emily does have a much larger following on Instagram. She's just shy of now of 100,000 followers. She is a small team. I think there's 2 or 3 permanent members of staff. And she has outsourced help when needed. She was another long-term user of Manychat, again, only using it to send links. She knew that DM opt-ins would be a game changer for her content. And why is that? It's because her audience is new parents. So new parents of newborns who are absolutely exhausted. They have very little time and an incredibly short attention span. So she knew that by sending them a link, sending them off platform, she was probably losing a whole load of sales and leads because they're waiting for a link to load, the landing page loads. Maybe it's not mobile friendly. There's all sorts of reasons, and they think, oh, I'll come back to that when I've finished feeding the baby, and they don't. That lead is then gone. By bringing them into the DMs, we could keep their attention through really, really short, quick automations, and hence get a much higher level of leads. So the key strengths in her strategy that we built out, again, gathering user data, retargeting, and also for her, follow-up flows to an upsell product. And when this was all done, she saw an increase in sales from day one. So her flows are kept short. She has very minimal sales messages within the DMs. That work is done via the organic social media, via the hook, via the content that gets them into the DMs in the first place. Once they're in the DMs, she wants to convert them pretty quick because she knows that they really don't have a lot of time. The other tactic that we employed for Emily was to deliver the free guide that she was promoting within the DMs, as well as being delivered via email. So the primary delivery was via the DMs because it meant that that exhausted parent who's feeding their newborn at 3 in the morning, probably with one hand scrolling, doesn't have to try and change apps. They're getting what they want within a few seconds of typing their name and their email. They're reading that PDF, and it's all within the DMs. Sending it also via email is almost like the backup as well. So they are almost getting a double whammy, but it's being delivered within the DM so they can read it right there and then. They don't have to wait for the email to come through, or they don't have to try and change apps one-handed. And just as an example there, in the green box there, the day that we turned on her Manychat automations was June 25th. And you could see the average daily opt-ins that she was getting was between 70 to 100, still considerable. We turned on Manychat with the opt-ins within the DMs, and her email list absolutely skyrocketed. And I think Emily told me that within the first 3 weeks of running Manychat, she had 3,000 new leads into her business, which is a huge number for a small and mighty business. So this kind of stuff is absolutely available to you guys with strategic building of, simple Manychat flows, but, more strategic if you want to gather user data within the DMs as well. So Emily's conversion rate is a little bit lower. So conversion rates will vary across different accounts. Hers is a little lower, predominantly because of her audience is tired and distracted. However, I would argue that 60% is still way higher than other traditional marketing channels, i.e. a landing page. For her, retargeting flows are also helping to bring back some of those users into the opt-in flows when they get distracted. And follow-up flows have been key to nurturing her users. And we recently changed up a follow-up flow to try and improve the conversion rate by giving the audience much more nuanced messaging. So her original follow-up, once they'd opted in, they'd give their name and their email, that PDF was delivered. Then after half an hour, they were sent a follow-up message which entitled them to a discount off one of her programs. And then there was a link in the DMs that was sending them out to a landing page. That conversion rate, as you can see there, was only running at 15%. Now, 15% is still actually pretty good, but within DM marketing, I would argue it can be higher. It can certainly be higher. So the new follow-up flow that we literally only launched last week or in the last few days, so hence the amount sent is a lot lower because it hasn't had as much traffic through it. But we were using the baby's date of birth, which was gathered in the original flow. We were asking them for their baby's date of birth. And then within Manychat, it was a slightly more complicated automation. We were making a calculation using some custom fields and conditions to assess their current age. Was their baby 3 months or older from the date of birth, or were they still in that newborn stage of being under 3 months old? And that enabled us to then send them to one of two different messages, depending on that calculation that Manychat had made in the automation. And you can see there, obviously it's had a lot less traffic through it, but already that conversion rate is up to 47%. So it's gone up from 15% to 47%. So she's already seeing a higher conversion rate on the upsells due to the more nuanced information that we were giving out. So Emily has had more leads and more sales from day one by switching from website links to actually DM opt-ins. She's seeing quite a high level of follower growth as well. And not only that, but her flows are enabling her audience to be segmented right from the word go, again, as soon as they hit her CRM. And I think her CRM, was Klaviyo, I think. So quick wins for small businesses. If you are just thinking about getting started, you're right at your start of the journey with Manychat, maybe you started exploring, what are some of the things that I would highly recommend you look at first if you just want to have a little bit of a play around and see what is what. If you're an e-commerce brand, or if you're a personal brand or any brand that gets tagged a lot. So I've used e-commerce brands here because they get tagged in a lot of unboxing videos or review videos, but you probably struggle to reply to everybody and just don't have that time to spend in the DMs. Everybody who tags you in an unboxing video, you could be there for days trying to politely respond for everybody, saying, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing my content, etc. But you can set up Manychat's story, mention, reply, and everybody would get a reply from your brand automatically, which means for the consumer, for the user who is tagging you in their brands, they get a reply from the brand, a message of thanks. It doesn't have to be anything more complicated than that. It could just simply be a thank you for the mention. So that helps to build trust and loyalty because you as a brand are replying to them. And for you as a brand, you're not spending hours in your DMs trying to respond to people and probably missing quite a lot of them, because especially if you're an e-commerce brand, they probably get tagged quite a lot and it'd almost be a full-time job. Number two, if you are running a competition within Instagram, where follow us on Instagram is a condition of entry, which invariably it is for most Instagram competitions, you don't want to spend ages checking that the entrants actually do follow you. So you can set up a flow that will check that. So if you bring them into the DMs for a competition, maybe they need to answer a question as well. You can then use the Manychat condition to see whether they follow your account and then ask them to follow you before their competition entry becomes validated. So they can't validate their entry into your competition until that Manychat condition has recognized that they follow you and it will let them through. So that is another super powerful one. I would also argue actually that, the follow us on Instagram kind of functionality as a condition with Manychat is also really, really simple if your main aim as a brand is to build your Instagram following. I've seen some really cool strategies by DJs who don't necessarily need people to opt into their email list, but they want to get their following bigger because that gets their music out there bigger. So for one particular one I saw, he used follow us on Instagram as a condition before he then sent me his Spotify playlist. Which I thought was an incredible strategy. He doesn't need, me on an email list because I'm not going to book him as a big name DJ for anything, but he does want to get his content out there. So building his Instagram following was his main strategy. So there are various ways that you can also use that message node as well. You're building a lead magnet flow. Now I've obviously covered this quite a bit already, but DMs are asked for their name and their email within the DMs. But you can take this one extra step further. Once they've given you their details, ask one extra question, such as, what is your number one challenge or problem with X right now? And then use that information to send a relevant follow-up. It may be just to a relevant reel. It may be to a relevant blog or a case study, or it may be to a slightly different lead magnet. But using the DMs to just ask those questions means that you guys can get really, really nuanced information on your audiences. So if you take just one thing from today's session, please let it be that the time to get started is now. I think, if I remember rightly, I think Mike Yan said at the summit there are now something like 1 million accounts attached to Instagram. Don't quote me specifically on that. I'm not 100% sure. So ManyChat has grown exponentially in the last 2 years, especially in the past year as well. But so many people are still not using that DM opt-in box. I know Mike Yan said last year that of all the accounts that were attached to ManyChat via Instagram, I think it was 10% were using the DM opt-in box. So that figure is likely to have grown. I don't have the exact stats available, but if you think about the amount of people that are on Instagram, the amount of brands that are on Instagram, the amount of people that have still not embraced ManyChat, by you guys being here and learning about the power of the opt-in already puts you 10 steps ahead of your potential competitors by even just thinking about getting started. So I absolutely encourage you to get started now. But I want you to remember, as small and mighty businesses, this is where I think this is really key, and it's really important to know. Using automation doesn't mean that you've automated your entire DMs. It doesn't stop your human to human conversations. So for I myself, I only use it for webinar signings and lead magnets. Everything else in my DMs, I'm a smaller account. I can manage my human conversations. So it doesn't stop people sending you a human message, which will enable you to reply as a human. So another question I always get is, where on earth should I start? I always say start with your proven offer and go from there. If you're a lead generation, a service-based business, you have a lead magnet that you know converts, start there, use that. If you have, if you're an e-commerce brand, quite often e-commerce brands have on their website, sign up to our email list and get 10% off your first order. Absolutely take that same offer from your website, replicate it into your DMs, and then use it in your organic content. That's one of your proven offers. See how that works, see how that converts, and then think about what else you could start to really, really build. And obviously, I don't think I really need to say this, but ManyChat is a Meta business partner. Automation is 100% allowed. So freebies and resources. If you want the presentation slides, some free resources, and I also have a juicy discount code in there if you wanted to upgrade to any of my paid products. I've given you two options. They both do the same thing. I know here in Europe and the UK, we use WhatsApp a lot. It's not so widely used, I believe, in the US. So if you want to find me on Instagram, my handle is socially_sound, and then just DM me the word chatter. If you want to come in via WhatsApp, just scan that QR code there, press send on the word chatter, and that should also sign you up as well to get the presentation slides and the resources. Equally, you can find me on my website, and you can always email me there. And that is enough for me. I think you've probably heard me chat now for 41 minutes. So I'm happy to see if there's any questions.
Yeah, actually, we have like some questions regarding maybe a little bit more like going to the basics into like building your ManyChat automation. Can you give like a few tips, or if you have anything like handy that you can show, that would be amazing. But if not, maybe verbally, where to like start building your like automation in ManyChat when you're talking about opt-in, like I open ManyChat and where do I go? Like maybe a quick few tips for people who are in the like really in the beginning so that
Yeah, sure. So there is now, ManyChat have recently done quite a lot to help people who are recently, quite new to ManyChat. And then as soon as you've kind of signed up and you're going into the account, you can find in there, I mean, there's loads of templates in there, but you can also find, there are almost, I can't remember exactly what they're called, but Mike Yan was showing it on the summit, how you can actually go in and build straight away with all the triggers are attached to one flow. And that is or do go in and explore ManyChat's templates, because there's actually a wealth of information in there for really simple automations for getting started. So I would actually start there. and have a little look. I do have some other resources on my website as well if you wanted to go in and find those. But essentially, I would start basic, get an understanding of what the ManyChat platform does. Start with a really simple automation. I mean, even I actually say, recommend actually even possibly start with, even a website link, because then you can understand what's going on. And then, but then once you've got that, then start to build in using the opt-in box as well, which is only available on the Pro plan. Does that help? Is that descriptive enough?
Yeah, all good. I think templates is like good way to start or a simple flow builder automation to play around and understand like how ManyChat works. I think there was like just how to how to get it started. And one more question that came actually like really early in the presentation was, would you recommend like merging your contacts that you collect and how like maybe you can give like some tips there from the up.
Merging the contacts within ManyChat. I mean, you most certainly can do that. I think it depends on, yeah, I mean, obviously you have contact limits, doesn't you, with obviously the price rises as well. So it depends on what you want to do. I think probably that would probably be more one for the technical team, I think, if Marina is
Right.
there, or possibly.
All right. It might be more like case to case basis regarding like how you
I
are.
think so. Yeah, I think so. Again, because there's probably dependent, some individuals that work really well for, other people it may not be relevant for. So it's probably is more of a case by case basis. Yeah.
All right. I'm looking a little bit more. I think there were like a bunch of questions around like, oh, how do we like start in the opt-in? I think that's kind of taking it a little bit more like step back. Um, One more question that I saw is um if you can recommend some third-party CRM services from like what you've experienced, like what you have experience with, and someone is asking if you've worked with Kajabi in this automation.
Kajabi, I have not worked precisely with Kajabi. No. Klaviyo, ActiveCampaign, MailerLite. So the way that it links over from ManyChat into the CRM, that you have different options really. So within ManyChat, there are a whole load of integrations. So do go and have a look in the integrations tab to see if your CRM is there, and whether it has the functionality to do what you need it to do when that new user hits your CRM. Alternatively, with clients, I tend to use Zapier.
Mhm.
That links over the information quite easily and quite succinctly. And yet for some clients as well, and actually also for myself, I use Make, which used to be called Integromat as well. So you can do some more complicated stuff with that. But yes, there are various ways to bridge that information over, but do have a look at the integrations tab within ManyChat, because that there is quite a wealth of information in there as well.
All right. I think we're at time and I don't see any like new questions coming. So thank you so much. We
It's a
will be
pleasure.
sharing these resources if you want to take a look. And also, yeah, feel free to always post any questions on the community. If you're a beginner, we will be more than happy to help you over on the community, give you like our step-by-step guidance over there so that you can also elevate your experience after that with here like Mel's presentation and take your strategy up one notch. So thank you so much, Melanie, for joining us and
Thank
sharing
you.
your knowledge today. I'll be sharing the recording in the couple next days with everyone who've attended. Um,
Sure.
all right. So thank you again, everyone. I'll be saying have a nice day or like have a good evening to everyone who participated. And thanks again, Mel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Kansu. If there are any other questions, please do just drop me an email, or contact me on Instagram. No problem.
Great. Bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you very much.